Hi, everybody. Happy weekend. Happy Saturday. Thank you all for being with us this afternoon. My name is Ryan Lathan. I'm the manager of marketing and communications at Fort Worth Opera.
Yeah.
Yay. Today is our final, I hate to say that, final masterclass of internationally renowned superstar soprano Jennifer Rowley's summer virtual artist residency. But, we're going to make a big dramatic exit today, and we're going to go out on a high note.
Big high notes from everybody.
Today, we are super, super honored and thrilled to pieces to have with us the brilliant Loren Meeker, General and Artistic Director of Opera San Antonio. Yay!
Yes! Woo!
I was born in San Antonio, so that's, yay.
Oh my God, Ryan, everyone's obsessed with
Okay. Everybody needed to know that. I don't, but you know, there you go. Loren is a multi-award-winning director and choreographer. She has been showered with praise over the years for her artistic vision and her storytelling gifts. And she's drawn acclaim from such houses as Houston Grand Opera, Teatro Colón, Lyric Opera of Chicago, Washington National Opera, San Francisco Opera, and the Glimmerglass Festival in Cooperstown, New York. Loren, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you, Jennifer, for making this happen.
Yes, I'm so excited to have Loren with us today. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you guys so much. Loren, welcome. Welcome to our crazy class in our world. We love it here.
I love it. It's so fantastic to take advantage of the digital world we're in and create some art. Let's do it.
It's awesome. It's so great. So Loren, for Loren's class today, we have got 5 incredible young singers for you. We have first Juliana Bozza, who is our youngest singer on all of the classes so far. We have Shanley Horvitz, mezzo-soprano. We have Madeline Hart, soprano, Moises Salazar, tenor, and Brennan Markey, soprano. Thank you guys all so much for being with us today and for being willing to take this little journey into the characters that you'll be portraying. We're very excited to see what you have for us. So I just wanted to start, Loren, by asking you some questions, and then I wanted to share with everyone on the class today some homework that Loren sent to our 5 singers prior to the class so that you guys could also do your homework before you do your auditions and go into your contracts and go to rehearsals for the first time. So Loren, please tell us a little bit about your role in San Antonio, being the general manager, the artistic director, and also a stage director. Because I met Loren in San Antonio doing Tosca, which was wonderful and such an incredible experience. And who knew that you were wearing so many hats at the same time. So talk to us a little bit about what all of that entails and how you manage all of that work, which sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's a new adventure. So the general director and artistic director position was official just after we had worked together on Tosca.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started this adventure in about November and have now taken over the reins for the company, seeing us through crazy COVID. Who knew? So it's become a learning curve for me, both in terms of guiding a company for the first time, period, also first time through a pandemic,
Yeah.
and also balancing that with my stage director career, which is ongoing in tandem with my responsibilities in San Antonio. So it's definitely juggling multiple hats, which I feel like has always been something that, at least as a stage director, I have done throughout my career.
Mm-hmm.
So there's new skills that are certainly involved in being a general or artistic director, but it's like adding another couple of balls into my juggling act is what it feels like.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Well, how do you keep up with your stage director duties? Because you're not only stage directing at Opera San Antonio, but you're stage directing all around the country. How do you make all of that balance out when you're trying to prepare productions? You know, maybe this is not a good question for right now with COVID having canceled everything, but normally, how would you balance all of that?
Yeah, it's definitely tricky and slightly different than I had anticipated with what the pandemic has caused, which for most of us has been cancellations throughout the fall, summer, or spring, summer, and fall, right? But even still, you know, I have projects that are online and coming up that are digital. And so that stage director hat is really still in the mix as much as the general management responsibilities are. And so that sense of how to juggle, whereas pre-COVID was me on the road at different companies, figuring out, you know, how to commit the time between a rehearsal process versus my administrative duties. Now I just do that from one little home that I'm in. As opposed to being, yeah, so as opposed to being on the road, it's definitely switched to digital juggling. But it is definitely the kind of job where I need to sit down and really carefully schedule my days and my weeks. And I mean, schedule that for whatever my administrative responsibilities are, schedule that for my directorial projects, and schedule it for me time.
Yes, you definitely need me time among all of that.
Yeah, maybe the tricky part to do in all of this, particularly now for me, I'm a workaholic to begin with. I'm super ambitious. And so when we're in crisis mode, like essentially we are now, things are changing by the minute and plans are changing and we're reevaluating. It's hard not to just go full steam ahead 24 hours a day. So finding a way to take, you know, to stop and slow down and take a breath is something I wish for us all.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So when you have your stage director hat on, what does your preparation look like? Talk to us about what goes on behind the scenes before we meet you on that very first rehearsal, where we're going to go through the concept of the production and talk about the costumes and the music and the this and the that. What have you done? What's the background before we get to that first rehearsal?
So to try and bullet point it, maybe to start with, there's the work I have to do on my own as a director. There's the work I do with my team to get the production or concept going. And there's the work I do with the company to approve that concept and get the company set up and ready to hit the rehearsal process. So that's all prep work phase. Then being more specific within each of those 3 points, my personal prep work is as soon as I know what the show is, I will get my hands on a score as fast as possible, and I will get my hands on multiple recordings as fast as, thank you, Spotify, that makes that very easy now.
Yes, thank you.
And I will listen to the piece again and again and again and again so that it starts to be absorbed into my brain and my soul in a way that hopefully will allow me to know the piece really intimately. That's usually that listening process goes in tandem with my score studies and my libretto study process. So I am a dancer and actor by background. I did not grow up thinking that I was going to dive into opera as a mainstay of my career. So my training was not in dealing with languages or specifically dealing with how to interpret music or, you know, operatic material. So to this day, what I have to always do is make sure as I sit down and I translate word for word, I type it into my entire, because I'm all digital now. So I type it into my entire score. Yes, Nico Castell is fabulous for that. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute when we look at the homework assignments I gave for today. But I always have to take it several steps farther than that as well. Because even just a literal translation doesn't make me feel like I'm inside the text or the piece enough. So I'll do a literal, I'll do make a sentence structure out of it. I'll do what does that mean to Loren Meeker? Or what does that mean to this particular character's perspective so that I can really try to get inside of it. Then, and that's like several weeks worth of work.
I'm sure.
Then once I've got that in place, I feel like I can start talking to my team. I'll feel like I know the designers well enough that we can talk about concepts. We can start to put some initial images or research together to pitch to a company, to then bat ideas around with the company and make sure that we're all on the same page about the kind or style of production that we're presenting. then I usually share all my homework with my designers so that they have all their translated scores. And I do things like character scene breakdowns, and I do things like prop breakdowns and costume breakdowns. And so we know every design element that has to go into the show in order to reach a place where then when we hit the rehearsal process, which is usually around the same couple of months that the design team is starting to work with construction, either for costumes or sets, and I'm getting ready to head into rehearsal, we're aiming to make sure that we're all on the page for that vision to start to come together. And if I've done my homework right, the most fabulous thing happens, which means I walk into a rehearsal hall with a whole group of people that have also done their homework. Inevitably, because we're all different artists, we're going to have interpreted the material slightly differently. And I love that because it means we get to sit down and go, well, what did you think? Well, what did you think? Okay, how with this group of people are we going to make this production come to life? And part of what I love about opera, for me, is that I can never do the same piece the same way twice. And if you put me, like Jennifer, if we reunited our Tosca cast right now, we wouldn't make the same choices. We're different.
We'll do it different.
We do it differently. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I find studying the art so important and bringing it to life so unique every time.
I love that. That's wonderful. So let's talk about then your expectations for the singers that are being hired for this job, since you've done an immense amount of work, right? I know that my process is very similar. I break down everything. I have it translated. I have the IPA. I've done the libretto study. I've spoken it through with a coach on multiple occasions for the syntax and where the stress is going and things like that. And then I've translated, but I also have like a subtext type of translation where it makes more sense to me. You know, I've sung it in that subtext. Like it's not just, I don't just sing it in Italian. Like I can walk around and like sing it in English in my own like random English version, right? So I know that I do all of this work and I know that I am prepared, but not everyone is taught in school to do all of that work. So talk to us, for those of us who maybe didn't go to a program or maybe didn't have this experience. What is your, if you picked the ideal singer to walk into the room, what would their preparation look like, and how would that affect the way that you're able to work?
Yeah. Okay. So you mean other than you, Jennifer Rowley? Okay. Got it. So, you know, I would say yes to everything that you talked about in terms of process, because what's so great about knowing the material innately, the way you've gotten yourself to be able to do when you set foot in rehearsal on day one, lets us then get to explode across the rehearsal process, layering in even more information. So my advice is to always go deep and dive deep. If there's source material that your piece is based on, read the source material. That's going to inform your character. You can agree with the source material, or you can go against the source material. You can understand if your composer and librettist took it straight from it or manipulated it, but it's going to inform you. And then apply that to all the work that you're talking about, Jennifer. Plus, study the scenes you're not in. Because if you work with a stage director like me, they'll be like, well, of course Tosca is in every scene in the show. How did you not know that was my conceptual approach? And you should be able to know everybody else's text. Just do it. You are a better person and artist if you work and understand the entire context of the material. That's not wasted time. If you study the whole show and the director only puts you in the scenes you're written in, great. But why wouldn't you want to understand the full context of what you're going through? And that way you're prepared no matter what. And so then what I have found, and what my ideal candidate makes, is someone who's armed with that information, but prepared to play. So just because you've done your homework, just because you deeply in your soul believe Tosca interprets this particular line this way, should also mean that you can step foot into the rehearsal room and be able to hear other perspectives, whether that's what the director's bringing to the table or your scene partner's bringing to the table, and go and have the ability as an artist to go, I didn't think about it.
Let's try it.
So can I
like
try
that.
it?
Let's
And does it
try it.
work or doesn't it work? And then you can dance and manipulate and find the scene that's not just in your head, but utilizes the collaborative artists that are around you.
Absolutely. I love that. So I'm going to just do a little screen share here on my other device, and we're going to get into your homework assignments, because I think that's going to help people sort of get the idea of all of this work.
Right.
This is one of the homework assignments that Loren had sent, and she's going to share these with you guys in the documents here in the Zoom as well. This is the translation work that she's talking about. So this is the translation format. Actually, I'm going to let Loren, I'm going to let you say. I mean, I looked over these and I love them, but I'm going to let you explain it since they're your documents.
So, you know, I just shared in the chat this particular homework assignment, the translation assignment, so that should be up for people to see. And I'll share the next one in a minute when we talk about the next assignment. But basically what I have found is that it takes time to understand what your homework needs to be on so many levels, right? There's the musical approach, there's getting the piece in your voice, there's working with your teacher, that's making your instrument vocally work the way you want it to. There's getting the language in your mouth, which, you know, it is totally okay if you're not a multilingual person.
Mm-hmm.
But then what becomes part of the process is how do you get whatever language your character sings in into your mouth in a way that is fluid and you don't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that in and of itself is a ton of homework, and we just are so excited to have reached that mark.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to take the next leap, even just for the purposes of audition, and yes, of course, by the time we're in a full rehearsal process, you got to go much, much farther.
Mm-hmm.
So you better, it's always surprising to me that the very basics, what's the title of the aria? What's the name of your character? What opera is this from and who composed it? I didn't even put the fifth question, which is librettist, right? That should be up there as well. But you want the basics of that, so that anybody that you're working with knows, like, okay, you at least know the chunks of who you are. But then
Mm-hmm.
with your text, specifically in the aria that you're working on, and to be very honest, this is based on essentially how Nico Castel has broken his translations down. So for anybody that doesn't know, Nico Castel has volumes and volumes, entire series of most of your traditional rep translated at this point. And he
Mm-hmm.
follows this basic setup, which is the original language and then literal translations. And he will often do a fourth translation as well. I think at bare bones, you have to get that level of homework underneath your belt before ideally you're presenting this really with a coach or a stage director.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've already done it, then you can take this material and catapult it to the next level. Otherwise, your coaching becomes about me doing it with you, which is not, you know, you can do it as a homework assignment. That should be yours
Mm-hmm.
to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then what I would say is, and I love this, I hope it resonates with people, is like sometimes even by the time you get to the natural wording, it still feels like Yoda is talking. Like sometimes by the time you translate from French to English, it comes out, I to thee would love you, thou art forever.
For sure.
That's not a sentence. Nobody talks like that. So I'm going to then push you to say, okay, if I restring all those words together, what's the correct grammatic English sentence? So I will love you, not thee. We don't say thee anymore. I will love you forever. But if you really want to go deep, Jennifer, you're asking for yet another layer of translation, which is what's
Mm-hmm.
your color or what's your subtext around that.
Mm-hmm.
I can say, I love you forever, and I can be screaming it at you because I'm filled with rage and passion. Or I can be saying, I love you forever out of desperation. So it's also
Mm-hmm.
helpful to go that far too, to make certain choices about how your character feels in terms of the context of what they're saying.
Absolutely.
And this will just give you a start on how to get there.
Fabulous. Now I'm going to go to this other one.
Great.
This is Loren's second homework assignment, the libretto analysis assignment. So I'm going to let you dive into this one.
Great. So this one I might actually say you should be doing in tandem with the other. There's not one that has to come first or second, because they're both pretty crucial and they help you understand your character in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Here, again, this is a riff on Uta Hagen's 9 analytical.
Yes, I love the 9 questions. Yes, they're my favorite.
And what I have found time and time again is, and this is through no fault, this is just part of the learning process, but time and time again, I'll go to work with a young singer in a room and I'll say, okay, well, like, where are you? And they go, or who's in the scene with you? Okay, you can't make choices on how to make your character come to life if your basic building blocks aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we can talk in a minute about, are those building blocks helpful, or, you know, in terms of the traditional setting, or do we need to update them for you? That's another layer that we'll get to. But this homework assignment is to try and give you a crash course in the very basics of what you need to know to get your character into the scene work.
Mm-hmm.
So please be able to very basically describe the plot of an opera. And that is a super tricky question because opera plots are not often easy to condense.
Mm-hmm.
Do yourself a favor and try to condense it so that you have as clear an idea of the storyline as possible. And within that, then you can break it down to your themes and issues that it's trying to address. And I personally like that one because I'm always trying to figure out, why is opera relevant? Why are we still telling stories that were written hundreds of years ago? And if you start to break down and look at what the themes or the issues are, you're going to start to go, oh, actually, Iphigenie has many themes that are still relevant today. I now actually get inside the piece more.
Yeah.
So then why is your character important to that theme? Why is your character and the stuff that they're going through critical to that plot? And usually if in all of the best written operas or stories on the planet, there's some sort of conflict, your character almost always, like in the arias we're exploring today, is going through a crisis of conscience about something. They're feeling torn or they're exploring an emotion. Mm-hmm. And when you break all of that down, then it helps you understand why your character is necessary to the story. And then I get into questions 6 and 7, which I think help you understand the context a little bit more. So if you're standing outside in Eugene, Onegin on a cold winter's day, you're physically going to act or feel different than you are if you're sitting on a Miami beach.
Yes.
You know, so it's important to know what's going on in your scene, what time of day it is, what year are you in, because that might influence how your character feels about their perspective. Mm-hmm. And then getting into question 7, what that time span of the libretto is, so that you understand the year and how much evolution is happening with your character.
Yeah.
This is an interesting assignment because you can go real surface level on the answers, or you can spend a lot of time and really dig deep, and both are necessary.
I totally agree. Totally agree. I feel I'm going to stop the broadcast here so we can see each other again. There we are. I totally agree. And I also feel like knowing that historical perspective is really important to character development too. Because in certain years of time, women were treated differently, right? Yeah. Men were treated differently. Are you a peasant or are you a noble? And in that particular time period, how would you have been treated? It affects your physicality. Yeah. It affects from day one. And, you know, the purpose of rehearsal, guys, the purpose of rehearsal is to try to line up that physicality with what you've done in the voice studio, right? The homework you've already done to get the voice to be able to sing the role, right? And worked into the muscle memory of the throat. Then we have to work into the muscle memory of the body. So all of that background information is so important for you to know before day one, so that when you get into rehearsal, you know, a week in, somebody doesn't say, you know what, you're actually not really standing right for the time period. We need you to do this, that, the other thing. And then you have to reconfigure the muscle memory of the body. Right. So all of this stuff, it has so many layers, you know, to the work that you're going to do in rehearsal. And what Loren said is true. If you've done this homework, then you can explore. right? Then we can actually have some fun in rehearsal. If you haven't done this homework, then it becomes about teaching you. Right. And that is not her job.
Well, and we, you know, I hate to say this, Jennifer, but we just don't have luxurious rehearsal processes.
And no, days. Especially not in America. We do not.
Right. And I would love to say, you know what, gang, we have 6 weeks, come in totally cold. We'll learn our music. We'll study the text together. We just don't live in that world right now.
No, we
don't.
So
I'm trying to arm singers with information that's going to allow you to walk into rehearsal at a certain level of preparedness and then be open to new creation. And the other thing that I think is important, because a lot of people will debate, you know, is it a traditional setting? Is it a non-traditional setting? For me, I have to start with understanding what was happening with the character as written, or the opera as written. I have to know the context that was written in, pardon my French, before you can start to F with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Once you understand the basics, then you can go, okay, am I going to fight that? Am I going to use it? How can I manipulate the character to do what I want? Whether the director's asking you to do a traditional production or saying to you, hey, so this version of Figaro, we're actually playing tennis in ape costumes on the moon. Do you know what I mean? You can't, for me only, you can't go to the moon until you understand what's going on down here on Earth. You just got to ground yourself first. So I think it's good to do that homework, period.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And all of our 5 singers have done all of that homework prior to today. They've filled out all of that paperwork, and we are going to get started with some singing with Miss Juliana. Are you there, Juliana?
Hello.
Hi, sweetheart. Just introduce yourself and your piece and we'll get started.
Okay. I'm Juliana Botza. I'm currently a master's student at the Jacobs School of Music at Indiana University. And today I will be singing Ach, ich Fuß from Mozart's Die Zauberflöte. And let me set up my accompaniment right now and we will get started. Excuse me, I have to start it over. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry.
brava.
Wow. Beautiful, honey. Beautiful, beautiful. And such a beautifully rich, warm voice for someone so young. I love it. It's gorgeous. Bravissima. Loren, I'm going to throw it right over to you and we can get started.
Okay, I think crash course is going to be my phrase for the day, because usually if we were in person together or had more time together, usually I request a starter kit of an hour per aria, right? So I'm just going to like throw some stuff at you, Juliana. And for everyone on the call, my hat goes off to you. I always want to preface work with singers at any level by saying, I don't know how you do what you do. Being asked to be a singer, being brave enough to be a singer is an extraordinary feat of humanity. We want you to tackle a language. We want you to understand every word of it. We want you to translate the music. We want you to look right for the role. We want you to act the crap out of it. We want you to be a dancer. We want you to be a fight combat certified. I mean, the list is like extraordinary. So if that's helpful in any way, shape, or form, take a deep breath and know that you're an amazing human just for doing and reaching the point that you've reached today. Okay? So anything that we're going to say on top of that is like, you just keep layering, you just keep learning, and you just keep building. So Juliana, can you just give me a quick sense of how long you've lived with this piece or where you are in your studies with it?
This piece is actually pretty new. I've been working on it for about, I'd say a couple weeks.
Great.
And I first started working on this piece because I needed a German aria for my audition package. But once I read the libretto and I, did my translation, dug more into the character, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting to love this aria as much as I do now, but I really do. I love this aria. I really enjoy singing it, and I think I really enjoy her character and have a lot to relate to with her. And so even though it's sort of new and I have a lot more work to do, I think that I've already started to really connect with it.
Okay, well, so here's some ideas and some food for thought for you, and then maybe we can just get the beginning started again. I find Magic Flute, there's a reason I haven't directed the full piece yet. I find it extraordinarily difficult to figure out how to inhabit characters that live in a world that is so far removed from any reality we live in. Are we in Egypt? Is it mythological? I'm going to go out on a limb, Juliana, and say you probably don't have a dad who worships the sun or is of the sun, and a mom who rules the universe by Queen of the Night. Just going to guess that maybe that's not your family background, right? So one of the things that I find super hard, and I'm also going to guess, Juliana, you're probably not like a princess who's been stolen by her sun god dad and thrown into a prison. Do you know what I mean? There's so many ways of looking at Magic Flute that just make my head spin. So my first challenge is always, let's acknowledge, for me personally in this piece, that maybe talking in terms of that bigger tradition and understanding who the characters are needs to then be boiled down to emotions and choices that we can make that allow us as the artists today interpret it in a way that makes total logical sense and that we can live in our voice and our body. Yeah. So that's big picture thing one. Then two, there is some stuff in here that's pretty heady, but I think can be used as tools to help us as actors. So Juliana, pop quiz. Is this like super excited, happy, lovey, puppy, dreaming of cupcakes context?
No.
Or are there darker themes maybe at play here?
Definitely darker themes.
I dare say she's distraught and probably verging on suicidal. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Later, a couple scenes later, that she actually is considering suicide and has like the dagger from her mom,
Yep.
and then she has to be stopped. So she's definitely on a downward spiral right now.
Okay, so then, and this is part of what I also think makes people super brave to be actors. We have to be able to talk about what we have in our lives that we can use to fuel us through character interpretation and what we don't have. And then you have to be brave enough to say whether or not you're going to use those tools or not use them. So if you as an actor are someone that has gone through a horrendous heartbreak, maybe we can use that to your advantage. But you have to be brave enough to want to explore those emotions. If you haven't been through a tremendous heartbreak, have you been suicidal? That's going to be different for every actor. And it's maybe scary to use that or not use it. So we got to make a choice there. And if you haven't been any of those things, what other sort of heightened emotions or moments as an actor could you maybe use in your life to help understand where this character is coming from? So it's basically like assessing our lives and the barometer of scary. But but the best actors are not going to shy away from the scary. They're going to figure out what they can bring to the stage to make this character connect and have vision within the piece. So Juliana, you get to tell me what you feel comfortable with and what you don't feel comfortable with, and where we can connect and where we can't. What resonates with you over anything that I've said, whether that's heartbreak or suicidal or other emotions that you think or context from your life you could bring into this?
I'm not a princess who has been like locked away, but I do think I was sheltered for a really long time until I got older and had a lot of realizations of my own and grew up, you know, have my own experiences. So it's definitely not as extreme, but I mean, actually a funny story, one of my social studies teachers in high school used to make jokes to me about, oh, your dad's got you locked up in a tower, because I was really naive and sheltered, and he used to make jokes about that. Well, I think there's probably some truth to that, and so that sort of, I pull from that a little bit.
Okay.
If that helps.
Yeah, I think it is going to help you. So here's the thing. What we then get to do is say, listen, a heartbreak with a partner who you've been with for 10 years can be equally as devastating as, oh, my hamster just died. Or I lived sheltered and I know what it's like to feel naive is a place you can pull from, even though you haven't been a princess held captive by Zoroastro. Do you know what I mean? So let's use that to our advantage as a starting spot, okay? Now, has anybody talked to you, and this is super weird to do via Zoom digital context, it's different when we're live and together, but has anybody talked to you about points of focus or how to interpret or where to place text visually?
Yeah, to find moments in the text to shift focus, different shifting points. Some people have talked to me about that in other master classes and in school and stuff like that. I definitely didn't do it here with this aria. I got a little bit in my head at times, but what I was hoping to be able to execute was having, moments that are very internal, where I'm having, personal conflict about everything, about my mom being the queen of the night, like being held captive, Tamino's like emotionally, I feel like all that I have. And so thinking to, devastating. But then when I say, see Tamino these tears, that's focusing on him.
Okay, I love it. So what you just started to say is that, we could do a super modern production of this where she's curled up, like hidden under a table, just like distraught for herself, right? But it doesn't mean whether we're doing modern or you're in a garden with a pyramid in the background, doesn't really matter. What's important is to give yourself focus within that so you know how to explore those emotions. Now, I think the danger with this kind of aria is it can all go whoop inside really easily, or then we're singing and it's out and it's, you know, non-specific visually really easily. So let's just start with the very first line of text. Can you give me your first line in German?
Ja. Ach, ich fühl's. Es ist verschwunden.
Okay, stop right there for me. And then if you were to translate that into English, what would you say?
I feel it. It has disappeared.
Okay, what is disappeared?
His love for me, it's gone.
Oh, so we already know we're talking about the Tamster, Mr. Tamino, right? Okay, so standing in your room, where is Tamino for you?
I think I'll put him right there.
Okay, here's my first thing, and it remains to be seen. This is me personally as a stage director, and everything I'm saying to everybody on this call today, you take it if it works for you, and if it doesn't, you leave it. Somebody else will give you another idea on this career path. But for me, 3 points of focus in an aria are always helpful. Something that's straight ahead of you, something that's to your left, just over your shoulder, and something to your right, just over your shoulder. And every character's 3 points of focus are going to be different. Then you've got, I love God, and you've got something hellish is happening, right? Okay, so second thing, if we go with those 3 points of focus, is automatically for me, angles equal acting. That is one of my favorite catchphrases. At a very base level, if you choose, sorry, I'm backing my chair up. If you choose something that's straight ahead of you, it looks like a neutral choice right out the gate. If you slightly angle your body and you pick a point of focus that's not straight at the adjudicator or at the camera, I'm like, ooh, they thought of something. So I'm gonna say, you know, you're talking to Tamino, Juliana. So what happens if you put him, most people go to the right instinctively, but you can go either right or left. Just ever so slightly. Okay, groovy. Let's try that. Can you get your track restarted for me?
Yes.
And then when you're ready, and I know this is super hard because it's digital and it's not an accompanist who's working, but try and take in a breath that allows you to bring your eyes up and propels even just those couple of opening chords into that thought of Tamino in front of you, and pour the context of being distraught that you've lost love, that you've lost him into that first line and that first angle, and then I'll cut you off and we'll play in another direction, okay? Stop already. Oh my God, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. Jennifer and Ryan, am I wrong? Angles?
No, you're absolutely 100% right. I never, you know, something, I always feel like if you're playing straight forward, somehow you're breaking the fourth wall. Yeah. And you're playing to the audience where in today's opera, it's not about presentational acting, it's about organic acting. And so just a slight angle or head down or head this way, somehow it says something different to us, you're right, than completely straightforward. And also you look better too.
Okay, and Juliana, it's not that you can't look forward. You know, another aria could dictate something else, or another point in this aria could dictate something else. But I also think an angle right away releases somehow, not only from that fourth wall, but it releases us from like, I'm staring right at my adjudicators. And it lets me like go into my actor self world, okay? I also heard, and it's because we've been talking a little bit and we know each other, but your breath are different.
Yes.
And the commitment to the line is different. Did it feel different, Juliana?
100%. Everything you just said, I noticed that my breath, my director in undergrad used to always say, breathe in the character and like the line you're about to sing. And I wasn't doing that before, but then I was.
Okay, what's so weird, and I think Jennifer will back me up on this, is you know, you have to do all of your homework, both vocally and brain-wise, to get to this point. But when you're actually in the middle of creating the art, I find that if you're engaged to your vision or your emotion and your breath, the rest of the stuff is going to be there. When you go the other way around, when you're like, I better hit this note, or where's my like shoulder got to be, it doesn't like come together as organically for some reason. Okay,
it's true.
so
it's why we study. It's why we go into the voice studio and we do that homework, so that when we do get into a situation like this where you're asking for something different, we can have that. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We can have the vocal technique track going over here. We can have the translation track going over here. Yeah. We can have the where did my tenor go track back here. And we can have the conductor track up here and the blocking and all of these different things. But that's why we do that homework. That's why studying the vocal technique is a part of that. And what happened for Juliana, and actually people noticed it in the chat as well, when she committed to that inhalation with intention, the voice was stronger, the vibrato was more calm and even, and the vowels were more spinning and filled with air, basically. I mean, they were really on the line of the legato and the body, and all of that just from intention of what you wanted and what you said. Yeah. So I think that's a really great thing that people are noticing up in the chat right now.
Juliana, do you have a Tamino that you're envisioning? And I always want to preface that by saying it doesn't have to be what you think it is. It cannot be a dude. It can be a girl. It cannot be a human. It could be a piece of pizza. It could not be food. It could be your favorite teddy bear. I don't care what you're doing as an actor to put something that you love in front of you, but do you have something that it would break your heart if you never had it again?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So can you then, this is an experiment, because your first text is that you feel it's disappeared forever, and that therefore happiness of love, what you're feeling, that emotion that you feel for it is going to be gone forever. So can you see that image dissolving away? If it's a human or an animal or something that can literally turn and walk away from you, divorcing itself from you, great. If it can be this tantalizing food that you will never get to eat again and just sort of disappears into the background, great. But use that breath to pour yourself into the image of that thing you want most, getting farther and farther away. And then I'm gonna let you get through this whole first line, because I wanna know then how you breathe differently and reattack for the next line, okay?
Okay.
Two things, or three things. So you're totally natural. Your hands are coming up, but they're not doing anything. I think you don't need them. I'm going to take them away from you. They can come back later in life. They can come back as we explore this more. I'm not telling you never use your hands, but you've got something going on here, because you've got something going on in here and something in here that are more extraordinary for me to feel your sense of emotion and line through than when the hands come up. Juliana, do you know what I mean when I say Care Bear love?
Yeah.
You can say no. What you do? Okay. So Care Bears have, like, they wear their emotions in their belly, right? And when they're supercharged and excited for life, the Care Bear love, like, comes flying out from there. Okay. I just want you as an actor to move your Care Bear love up to your heart. I want you to connect to your breath, and I want you to take those emotions, which are super scary, right? We're talking about love being lost from you forever. And I want that emotion to come out through your breath and propel through your chest and your face. But that means you don't need your hands. Yeah. You know what I mean?
They're a crutch. They're a crutch for everyone. I mean, when we feel nervous or when we are scared of allowing something to come out, we don't want people to see it, we bring the hands up to protect ourselves. I do it all the time. I love a good claw, right? Because we feel protected as a singer with those hands. Juliana, I know you can do it. Put those bad boys down and let us live what's happening up here, because it is quite beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And that B flat was stunnissima, like amazing, because you also just let it out.
You know, we talk a lot, I'm sure you'll back me up on this, Jennifer. We talk a lot about, you know, you have to reach a certain point of emotion and know where that line is so that you don't overwhelm your mechanism, you can still be able to sing. I would rather have you, especially in the young artist phase, go for, when we're learning and coaching and we're not in a rehearsal, commit to the emotion. I would rather have us know what that feels like and go, here it all is, oh, holy moly.
Right.
And then go, okay, how close can I come to that line or not? Because if we don't know where that line is, then we're always falsely presenting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And rehearsal is the place for that, you know, and a coaching like this is the place for that. I do it too. I mean, there are many, no matter how many times I sing Visidarte, somewhere in rehearsal, I'm going to cry. It's going to happen because you let yourself go to that point, and you can let yourself go to that point in rehearsal without injuring yourself. And then you have some time to recover, and it, you know, you don't need to worry about it. But then, you know, I can't go there on stage. I can't get to that point because the mechanism is affected at that point. But in a coaching like this, you can go for it. You can let it go because tomorrow you can rest.
Yeah. So 2 more things I hope we have time for, Jennifer.
Yes, 1 minute and then we have to move on. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mozart. You get to repeat text within the first 30 seconds of singing this aria. I always want there to be a reason why. So Juliana, just in pop quiz land, why the heck do you think Mozart asked you to repeat so quickly?
I think maybe because at first she's saying it, but then she says it a second time because it really hits her. Maybe.
Okay. Totally. I always think you want a difference. There's a first time you sing it, and then the emotion somehow has to heighten or change the second time you sing it. And yeah, there can be something about, oh, she said it, and then like, oh my gosh, it overwhelms, which is why it's written vocally differently, why she expresses herself differently. So it's like you're going to lean into your emotion to hear, and then it hits you like a Mack truck, and that propels you to have to sing it differently to finish the course of that front line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then you've got a tiny little interlude, but there's this chord. Mozart wrote that chord for a reason. What the heck is that chord about?
Before Nimmer kommt.
Yeah, before Nimmer. You got to do something on that chord.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying like, duh, you know, I'm not saying it has to be this big dramatic thing, but I'm saying like maybe your focus shifts there, right? She's finished the end of her first phrase. Maybe she can't look at Tamino anymore. So maybe you're going to the left. Use that, I mean, and oh, see, that's a much more natural gesture. Maybe that will feel right. Just keep those things in mind. So no hands. How am I repeating the text and why? Use the interlude and activate that chord, and let's see where it gets you.
Okay.
From the beginning.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I like rarely get past the beginning, but I love you guys.
It's all good. Don't worry. I wish we had an hour we could give to all of them. I really do.
I know.
emotionally for me. This might be a little bit big. It might be a little bit big, but the idea is totally right. I always want to see what a gesture is before I edit it, but the shift of focus is right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and being so upset that I can't even look at him. I like that.
And maybe that high note's in there because that thing is like, "Gah-bah!" It's going away. Do you know what I mean? Okay, you're armed with the right information, Juliana.
Absolutely.
You're armed with it. So you know, we got one phrase into this, but you can take all of those things and apply them to all of the other text and music coming up. Do I know where I'm looking? What do I think about it? What angle should it be on? Am I gesturing and do I need to? And how do I connect it to emotion and breath?
Brava. Juliana, thank you so much, honey. Bravissima. Really, really, really beautiful. All right, we're going to move on to our mezzo-soprano. Miss Shanley, are you there, hun?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Shanley.
Hi, sweetie. Just introduce yourself and what you are going to sing, and we will get started.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you, Loren. I'm Shanley Horvitz. I'm 27 years old. I'm from New Jersey. I am singing Voi lo sapete, o Mama from Mascagni's Cavalleria Rusticana.
Oh my God.
Yay!
Ah!
Shanley!
Girlfriend, I have never heard you sing better, my love. Woo! Kill it like that. Yes, love it. Amazing.
Jennifer, where do you guys know each other from?
Stanley and I just met this summer. She was doing this international summer festival of Morelia, and she started taking voice lessons with me. Shanley, how many weeks ago? A month ago? 5 weeks ago? Oh my God. Getting that larynx down, oh my God, I die for you right now.
There's so many things, right?
Oh my God, so many things. The chest voice has come in amazingly. The top is amazing. There's no air coming through the middle. Jesus, Mary, I am just dying for you right now. Amazing. Amazing, 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 honey. All right, I'm going to Loren because
you know what? I'm just curious. And so, Shanley, how long have you been working on this particular piece, or what's your history with it?
So, my history is that I've been living in Europe for the past couple years, and I'm home due to the coronavirus. Hopefully going back soon. And I had this piece as a Zwischenfach. That was really what I was going for, but over the last year, it's just my voice has just developed, and I'm only doing mezzo-soprano repertoire right now, and I'm really only doing repertoire that just feels good in the voice. And this piece has been like my saving grace because it is really for the big dramatic lyric mezzo and also for the crossover soprano. And so I've always felt this piece as like my safe space.
It shows, Shanley.
Yeah, it does.
It shows.
Yeah, it does.
So it's been on my rep for just about a year.
Okay, great. I mean, I have to say what I think is interesting is sometimes I feel like I hit this piece with an artist who feels really disconnected. Like, it's a very tough piece to pull off if you're not willing to commit to the reality of what the character is going through and how to find that for yourself. I don't see that being a problem with you, but I'd still love to break it down a little bit more.
Me
and
too.
I think that'll help sort of all of us here, understand the character and how to apply that to the voice. So who is she? Who is this girl?
So Santuzza is a peasant girl who has been involved in this awful love triangle. Turidu is the soldier who went off to, so first of all, she's talking to Turidu's mother, Mama Lucia.
Yes.
And Santuzza is a peasant girl from this village. Turidu went off to be a soldier, and before he went off, he promised an eternal vow to this girl named Lola, another girl in the village. But when he was off at war, Lola married another man called Alfio. And right at the point of this aria, Alfio comes back and is asking, have you seen my wife Lola? And Mama Lucia is kind of covering for her son. She's just, nothing can go wrong with her son. He can never be wrong. And so Santuzza covers a little bit, saying, just shh, don't say you saw him. Don't say you saw him or anything. And then she cuts him off. And at this point, Mama Lucia asks, why did you cut me off? Why did you do this? And Santuzza has just been boiling up with all of this stuff to happen that's been happening. And she's like, finally, I can tell somebody. And she confides in Mama Lucia that Turidu and Lola have always been in love and they're having an affair. But when he came back, he seduced her and promised to marry her. And they made love, that they've had sex. And this is all on Easter Sunday morning.
Yes. the totally appropriate day to do it.
Such a great day.
Oh
And
my
this
God.
is a very religious, this is a very religious peasant girl, everybody's religious, it's all about it. And she is so affected by this seduction and then this betrayal of Turidu that she can't enter the church. It's against every fiber of her being. And she confides in Mama Lucia to kind of, on my backside, when I analyze this, I think she's pregnant already.
Ooh,
I think
yeah.
she's trying to get this point. Like, he promised me, he loved me, like, we did it. And now he promised to marry me. And she's looking to, like, confide in this woman, saying, listen, as a woman who prays to Maddalena, like, I'm in this situation, like, please take pity on me. And Mama Lucia, of course, her son could do no wrong. And she says, why would you bother with me with this on Easter Sunday? And then goes off to church.
Yeah.
Enters into the church.
Okay, so Shanley, you are in it. Yes, for that much detail and that much homework, like underneath your belt to understand that right away. I mean, that just puts you at attacking the aria at a whole nother level, because that information is already innate in who you are as an actor, which is phenomenal. Are you, Shanley, a peasant during Easter in Sicily, involved in a love triangle, and are you pregnant with your lover's baby? Oh, okay. So we still gotta like figure out how to break that down. I mean, you can say yes to any of that if you're brave enough on this Zoom call.
I'm Jewish, so no.
Okay. See? But so what I love doing is looking at these things like I'll be very honest. I am not, I'm a faithful person. I'm not a religious person. I haven't lived in Italy. Yes, I've been in Spain during Easter, so I've seen how intense Spain can be.
Yeah.
I've not been in a love triangle or pregnant or any of that good stuff that you just talked about. But I think there are things that you can, that can resonate with us as humans and that you can hold on to. And a couple of things that you said that I think are great just to reiterate is, you said against every fiber of your being. That's extraordinary terminology and something to hang on to there, that whatever that means for you, Shanley, you can hang on to as an actor and say, okay, I'm really torn between these things that I've done, these emotions, these human things that I've given into, versus what I uphold as my faith or my community or my passion. Now, if that's church on Easter Sunday, great. If it's something else, that's okay too. But defining something that you can rally against with every fiber of your being is an awesome thing we're going to explore. I also, that you used terminology that equates to upping the stakes. So, i.e., you said, I think she's pregnant, which we could go on for days in a fabulous rehearsal process about whether that would be possible or not. But what I love about it in the context of prepping for an aria is you as an actor gave yourself something where you're like, I'm going to one up this. And if there's one thing we do in opera, it's figure out what the maximum emotional and physical circumstances are and pump that drama onto the stage. Yeah. So if that works for you, if that character choice and physical choice propels you to a mental place, let's roll with it. Yeah? Okay. So I do think whether you are faithful to Easter or not, the other thing that you said that's absolutely crucial in this is that she's committed serious acts on a serious day that goes against all of what that should be. So, you know, not having sex before marriage, high priority within the church. She totally broke that. You know, getting caught in a love triangle, not so awesome for the church. She totally broke that. So figuring out the yings and the yangs of that to contrast are super, super important. So yay for that. Okay. Shanley, you were doing this, but I want to break it down a little bit more. Unlike Achisfos, you have a super long intro. What the heck is happening and what do we do?
So, do you want me to answer that?
I do.
Okay. So I envision right now, you know, she has this long intro and the mother asks her, what are you talking about? What is it? What is it you have to say about my son? And she's waiting for people to walk into the church, and she's watching them, and she's watching everybody go into church Sunday. They're all happy, and she is obviously not in among that. I think it's everybody knows her, so they see that there's something going on with her, and she's not entering, and she's like trying to get Mama Lucia's attention to like come over here. Let's get a little bit like private so that not everybody can hear this, especially Alfio, who's searching for his wife, who's currently probably with Turidu. And so I think it's that. I think it's the hypersensitivity of eyes on her.
Okay. So now I will say I agree with everything that you said. I agree people are moving around. There's people entering the church. Mama Lucia is not static. You know, we can move around our targets and where our images are. But Shanley, when you first open your eyes in this, where's the church? Where's Mama Lucia?
Stage right. Stage right is church, stage left is Mama Lucia.
Okay, great. What's out right in front of you?
This big light. I have like an open hall.
Okay, we get a little clearer on that one.
Okay,
I think we can use
looking at the scene, like what's in front of me. I think people are gathering. Maybe some people are buying some of the Easter Sunday flowers to give to the Mother Mary.
Okay, so let's just play the intro for me again, and then because what I want to explore is how you're using the music to propel her into singing her first line. So I agree with everything that you've said about the fact that she's like bursting at the seams to be able to share this information with Mama Lucia. And we need to see how she sort of revs herself up for that moment. So when is the space clear enough? Where is Mama Lucia in that space? How do you call her, and what gets you vocally into that first line? So can you start that track again for us at the very beginning? Great, Shanley, good, let's stop there. Good. Okay, did it feel any different to you from first time through now?
Definitely more intimate.
Okay, I actually love intimate because I think there's a part of me that goes, knowing what she's about to say, that feels like the composer and the character therefore would want to go, oh my God, don't go on the church. But that's not what she does, right? It actually there's like a hesitancy and a softness, almost like it's going to catch Mama Lucia off guard. So can you use that intro again? Because I think there's time in there for us to see who she is. Can you use that intro again to clock where, and I like that you changed your focus, clock where Mama Lucia is going off to, almost be brave enough to go, I can't go, how am I going to? And then find that place where it just comes out of her. And yet I don't want it to like end down. That's not what I'm insinuating, but where it just comes out of her and makes Mama Lucia stop almost without even realizing that she's going to.
Yeah.
Like fight the good fight with yourself on how to approach her.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Good. Shanley, it's so good. It's so good. Stop it right there. I want to pick up from there-ish, if that's possible in a second. What I think is so phenomenal about this piece in particular is how it's really written in 3 parts, and each part is meant to like build, it's like a really well-written commercial. It's like each part is built to like make maximum impact at the end of the message. Yeah. So figuring out how she starts and how she keeps layering on the text and the emotion to get all of what's sitting in her soul out of her is a really important arc to be on. And that's why figuring out where she is at the beginning is not like Loren Meeker would want to tell a story, but is right for this more reserved girl who's fighting so many things and so many of the choices that have been propelled around her. Okay, also, I think it's part of that, like we're hitting like ultimate verissimo, like we're just hitting the beginning of that style of writing, right, within this piece. And what's maximum important, and you're already on this train, I just want you to keep riding it, is that stylistically what's happening here is there's a piece of text connected to every note that is pushing towards a dramatic climax at the end. So as if text wasn't always important to analyze, you as an actor propelling yourself through this piece have to put that emotion and those choices onto your text in a way that keeps cranking it forward to get to the end of your aria, okay? So even with that in mind, Shanley, what would you say, you know, where we start, where she just started in the aria up to now, if you were to put like an emotion or a color or an adjective or a verb on that first part, how is it changing now that we're about to dump into the next text?
I would have to say that I think it's like a checker game. Honestly, she's trying to get across the board, but she can't go too far without Mama Lucia completely just giving up, like being like, he wouldn't do that, don't talk to me. So that I guess I see that. I don't know if that does that kind of answer what you were asking?
It does. And you also dipped into something that I think is interesting, because I always wonder, I'm like, why is she telling the mother of the dude all this information? Only for me, I think there has to be a bond between you and Mama Lucia as well. She almost needs to feel like a mother figure for you, which actually, if we're talking about heightening stakes, that's like even worse. You can't even just go to your lover's mother and be like, dude, this is what he's doing. Because you're divorced from her. She's actually as important in your world as he is, as your faith is, as are the choices that you've made. So if she's going to keep cranking that radar up, then we want to figure out, once you stop Mama Lucia, how you bear that next bit of your soul. Does that make sense? There is like, I can think of nothing trickier than having to explain the shitstorm of emotions and choices that she's made to someone that she cares about so much. It's earth-shattering, it's releasing, it's soul-crushing, it's humbling, it's all of those things rolled into one. So how she keeps taking those steps, the first time she said it, right? I don't think she didn't like go out and perform this speech in front of 18 people and feels very comfortable with the information. She's taking this person she feels extraordinarily intimate with and broaching all of this territory for the first time. So your Care Bear, like your Care Bear is just slowly like doing this. Yeah? Does that make sense? Can you get us, can you sort of pick us up right where we were and just see where that propels you?
Great, thanks guys.
Train. This is just like icing on the cake for you, okay? Be more specific, Shanley, when she, you, the character, is brave enough or needs to look right at Mama Lucia in this, because I want to do the same section again. When she's brave enough to look, when her emotions or thoughts of love or him pull her away, and then when she needs to drive that energy back onto her. And I'll give you a hint, it's going to match your high notes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think where she's not in a place, Shanley, if you can, I don't think she's in a place here yet where she stops at center. I think she's either on Mama or she's torn and thinking about him and exploring that, and then has to reattack. Does that make sense? You get a little, she's going to get a little lost if she's in the middle on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Try one more time.
Awesome. I'm so sorry to do this, but we have to move on to the next singer. So Shanley, this definitely finish this section and
strong,
kick its butt. And then I'm so sad we have to do it, but we do.
I understand completely.
Thank you, honey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. This really helped. This really helped. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Shanley, you got it. Just pick those points of focus and ride. You know it. You know it. You just have to like dive in and be specific. That's fantastic.
Amazing, sweetheart. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. Amazing. Thank you, honey. Okay, we're going to move on to our queen of the night today. Madeline, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi. Just introduce yourself and your piece, and we will get started.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Madeline Hartz, and we will be going back to Mozart today with the Queen of the Night's second aria, Der Hüterache. Der Hüterache kochte meinem Herzen, Tod und Verzweiflung, Tod und Verzweiflung verrät um mich her. Sieht nicht durch dich, so Herzlogo der Schmerzen, so Herzlogo der Schmerzen, so bist du mir, so bist du mir.
Thank you so much, bravissima. Oh my God, that's so hard. That's so hard. Awesome, and thank you for choosing the orchestra track. That's so great to hear that, especially with the voice of size and color, and that was awesome. Bravissima, honey, bravissima. Okay, Loren, I'm gonna throw it right over to you.
Awesome. Madeline, how long have you been working with this piece?
So I had it out probably about 7 years ago to try it, and it was way too early to be doing anything with it, so it got put away, and then it just came back out, later this year, very in the summertime. So it's like meeting an old friend, and it's feeling much more comfy than it used to, which is fun.
All right, let's cozy up to this friend. I love it. That's great. Hey, I have a question, Madeline. This is weird because I'm not sure how to attack it because I can't touch you. But here's what I want to look at. I think you're taller than you think you are when you sing. Yeah. I think can you turn to the side for me? Can you push your neck forward for me? Push your shoulders forward a little bit. Push your neck forward and your head a little bit more. I think you're singing from there.
Okay.
And I think in real life, okay, can you watch me for a second, Madeline?
Sure.
And if you can't tell me, let me know. What I'd love to have you do is a drop down. I want you to go all the way down. And imagine there's don't do it yet, watch me for a second. Imagine there's a colorful ball of light in the very base of your spine. And I want you to breathe in that ball of light as it moves all the way up so that you can wiggle and you can feel vertebra by vertebra where that length is in your spine. Hang on, I gotta back up so you can see me more. So that this is where it's always tricky. When you get to the top, it's like your shoulders want to sag forward. I want you to release those and let your shoulders come down and then find that length in the back of your neck. Can you just do that for me real quick? And don't worry about if you're off camera or on camera, and who cares what your hair does.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm rolling up.
Yep, good. Take your time, take your time, take your time. Go down again. You've got space and breath in your middle back you're not using. So keep wiggle, wiggle, wiggle more and put space and air in breath into your, there you go. Now you've got a curved spine, that's good. Feel those shoulders coming up. Length, 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 length. And think length out, instead of the front of your head, think about it in the middle, the length of your spine. Yeah, you got it. Now turn and face me, Madeline. Put your arms out to the side, palms down. Flip your palms up and lengthen down. Turn to the side again. Does that feel to you? Do you feel like you're pushing your chest out?
Yes, I'm letting my sternum pull forward. Okay,
believe it or not, that's how we're supposed to stand.
Sure.
So here's what's super, okay, you can relax and shake it out, Madeline. The reason I'm making you do this, every actor should, every single person on this call could do this. But the reason I want you to do that is because we innately don't carry that much energy in our chests.
Sure.
What it does is restricts where your breath is gonna land. And she's also the most baller, powerful character on the planet. This woman does not have a relaxed anything. Yeah. So I want to make sure that you're using the full length and advantage of your height because it's a power play. Do you see where you are right now?
Yes.
We want as much of your aria to attack from that place as possible. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And you should.
Camera. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry about the camera. I don't care if you're looking at me or not. Let's get you where you need, that's a whole different session about how to set up your camera. So let's just get your body set up right. Okay. If you're aligned the right way, you're going to feel that maximum length and you're going to be able to breathe deeper and fuller into your abdomen and chest. And it might feel tight and weird to start with, but we want to give that space to you. Oh my God, you're 8 feet tall. I love it. Okay. Relax if you need to, then we can go back into that. Who is this woman?
The Queen of the Night. So as opposed to our other character we heard earlier, this is Pamina's mother. And she is ruler of the night, and she is the antagonist of the opera. She is fully against Zarastro, and in this aria, she is demanding that her daughter kill Zarastro for her.
Okay. Totally. I can't even begin to unpack that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be a queen. I don't know what it's like to rule over the night. I don't know what it's like to have a daughter I'm trying to ask to go kill my husband/former husband, depending on your interpretation. I mean, that's so epic beyond epic that I'm not sure where to begin. Are you any of those things, Madeline, in real life?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so we got to figure out and I want to use these words carefully to structure them as an actor. Personally, I think it's dangerous when we talk in, how do I say this? If you as an actor playing about your character use negative terminology about yourself, it doesn't have an impact the way you want it to on the outside. So, right, like evil people rarely think they're evil, they think they're right.
Yes.
So we know that she's got something in her soul that she is bitterly fighting against, and she's right.
Yes.
It is really important that her opinion, because this aria is so intense, is to express emotion that is coming from the highest stakes possible of what she believes to be right and necessary. Okay? So who's in this aria with you? Where are they?
So Pamina is with me in this aria. We are outside the walls of Zoroastro's temple, and it is night, stormy, turbulent, just like her mood.
Okay, great. So where's Pamina for you as an actor?
Pamina is over here.
Okay, great. Who else do you talk about, or what else do you talk about in this aria?
I talk about Zoroastro as well. And
So where's he? Ding, 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 ding. Great. Okay, good. Let's start with those two.
Sure.
You have a super short intro.
Yes.
And does it sound like this? No, it's like attack right away, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to where we were with breath in when we were talking about Pamina. I think you've got that music, big note, your music is you. Your music is something that you as a character, it is part of you, whether you're playing into the music or against it, it's you. So you have to use your breath to make that music happen. And if you make that super tight intro happen, it's going to make you have to sing. So I want to see, you know, if we were together in like normal audition setting, I'd say like figure out where your world is and then bring that energy up and attack. Here, it might actually mean that she's got eyes. Wait, let me ask you another question. Do you want your first piece of text to be to Pamina or Zoroastro or something else? Who are you saying hello to Pamina?
It's internal.
Oh, it's internal.
Hell's
Who can you
vengeance burns
say it
bright.
to in order to externalize it? Like if you were going to say it to one of those two characters, who would you say it to?
I mean, I guess I'd say it to Pamina.
Okay, so what if, just for shits and giggles while we're playing, what if when the music starts, your energy is on Zoroastro and the second you go to sing, you switch it super fast to her? I just want to see what happens when we do that. It might not be right, but I want to see what happens.
Sure.
Okay, start.
Der helle Rauch kocht in meinem Herzen.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. That could be an awesome choice too, but I want you to make a different choice.
Okay.
What if you like put your nasty face on? What if you're seeing Zoroastro on those first chords and you turn to sing to her? The second you start your Dehola, yeah? So it's not, even that first text goes right to Pamina.
Okay.
Like breathe him in and be like, I hate the devil, this is why, yeah?
Okay.
You, gross man. Get to her.
Der helle Rauch kocht in meinem Herzen. Tod und Verzweiflung. Tod und Verzweiflung. Trage mich her.
Okay, good.
Nice.
All right, now you can make either of those choices, Madeline. You get to do it either way. Do the one that feels more organic to you.
Okay.
The danger here with arias that are super duper emotive and high is that the focus can go 8 places at once. Be brave enough to get through this first vocal line, finish your mishir before you do a change of focus. Because it's so much text and it's so much intensity that we got to have a second to go like, whoa, what's going on? And we need to see her be specific about about raging, about hell and revenge that you're feeling in your heart, propel that energy onto just Pamina, okay?
Okay.
Now,
Natalie,
I also
don't
will
think about that
say,
computer. Keep yourself up, like Loren said, because when you have this chest open, not only do you look super regal and amazing, but the mechanism for the singing just opens right up into a fabulous, wonderful place. There is a small like hunchy do happening. I'm sure it's because of where the computer is placed. So don't even think about us on the computer. Yeah, go up and above us, because it'll keep you lifted.
Great. Try it again, Madeline. Awesome.
Der helle Rauch kocht in meinem Herzen. Tod und Verzweiflung. Tod und Verzweiflung. Froh wird mich her. Flieht nicht durch dich. So froh den Schmerzen. So froh den Schmerzen. So bist du
Great, good, Madeline. Okay, I think we're getting there. Okay, now I want to lead you in yet another direction to start, and then I'm going to let you go forward. So why don't we try less about the like face, more about put that, so the emotion's right and what I'm seeing on your face is right, but internalize it a little bit so that it becomes, the hatred becomes the hatred becomes power for her, and she's seething from the inside. And then your first text, again, because you said to me, it feels like it's for me. So what if you keep your first text, sorry, I don't speak camera, this way, whatever that is too. That's your right. It's like being on stage, Loren, that's your right. Keep, what if you keep the first line of text to your right? Because you're talking about hell's revenge seethes, right, in your heart. Mm-hmm. And that you're like death and despair are just swirling or blazing around you, right?
Yes. And
then you're gonna shift very specifically, I think, to shift the focus to her, right?
Yes.
Because if Zarastro feels pain and not death for you, then you're not going to be my daughter anymore, right? Yes. So what happens if you do take that first line of text for yourself, and then Mommy Dearest just turns her head to put that energy onto Pamina? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And oddly, I think seething sometimes, when characters are this amped up, less is more. I'm not asking you to park and bark. I'm not asking you to not show emotion. I always knew when my dad was most angry at me because he got silent and he did less. And it animates the text, it pops her intensity, and you gotta put it into your voice and your text, as opposed to being like, I'm the world, and then, blah, blah, blah. So what happens if she brains it in this time and then zings it like a bullet towards Pamina? Yeah? Okay. Try it again for me. But don't stop breathing. Breathe in every emotion you can. Breathe, 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 breathe.
Okay. Der helle Rauch kocht in meinem Herzen. Tod und Verzweiflung. Tod und Verzweiflung. Froh wird mich her. Flieht nicht durch dich. So froh den Schmerzen. So froh den Schmerzen. So bist du meine Tochter mir. So bist du meine Tochter mir.
Okay, good. I'm gonna stop you before we hit the next part. Okay, so much cleaner. Why on earth does Mozart crank her up so quickly into a place where she has this fabulous, ultra famous, what the heck is that about?
it's her drill to me. It's her drilling it home, and it's her directing these pinpoints of just instruction at her. But I've done it in the past before where it's like maniacal laughter. Like there's so many interpretations of it, and I'm still playing with what it is for me.
Okay. You should always be playing. If you reach a point where you're starting to sing stuff and you're not playing with what it means to you as an actor, then stop, go home, pick another job. So yay, that is fantastic, Madeline. But what I want to do is find a choice today that's going to propel your breath and your arc into that so that we understand mentally where that character is going. And I think there's a key in the music.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear the start, for me, and again, this is all up to interpretation, when I hear the start, where the aria starts, it feels musically to me dark and internally boiling. But where we get to by the time she hits this cadenza, there's like joy or lightness or frivolity almost in what's happening musically to start to crank her up, to get to the place where she is throwing popcorn up in the air and it's fun and super exciting, all that. Do you know what I mean? There has to be, and I'm not saying like, actually I am saying this. You could, Madeline, envision that popcorn's going off. You could envision that she's unwrapping great presents in front. You can envision whatever the heck you want. It doesn't have to be negative or connected to the character. But I want it to be something that fills you with that internal rhythm of the music to get you into that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Madeline, how do we get into that musically with your track?
I'll do my best here. Okay, I think I've got it to So bist du.
Okay.
Okay. So bist du, meine tote Liebe.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. Do you feel a difference, Madeline?
Yeah, much more buoyant with direction, and it was easier to have the...
Yes, girl.
Yeah.
Why? Because we have to figure out what to do that's going to get us there. We have to figure out why, and then we have to figure out how to maintain that or recreate it. So do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that's a surprise smile. It's just that, you know, that absolute...
Smiling like everything. Smiling changes everything.
It also gets the happy coloratura place open, Madeline.
It totally does.
Get that thing open back there.
Madeline, this is super, super, super tough to do. But because this sits so high, and because we've now found the help of where smiling gets you to not only in your heart, but your instrument and your head, you've got some tension that's creeping up like in your shoulders and in your hands. Your body is got energy in there that's locked, and it's trying to keep it out into your limbs, and you don't need it. Where that energy needs to go is into that length and into that laser focus. So when you feel yourself like attacking this coloratura, keep that length in your body and keep that specificity of height. Zoom all your energy out as opposed to allowing it to start to creep up into here. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Enjoy it more. I don't care if you hate singing this or if you have a butt cramp stress ball over how it's going to go. I would rather see joy and length and feel breath in your body and have you splat every freaking note than to feel like you're cutting it off. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to try from there one more time?
Yeah. Then we can go forward.
Meine Sorry.
Not only does he make you go stratospheric super early in the aria, he makes you repeat it.
Yes.
So, like, yay. So how do we find the breath support underneath that? And how do we change the image or the smile or whatever we're envisioning to allow you to re-engage? The same way when there's repeated text, when you're on a single vowel or a single note, but the line is changing like it does with this coloratura, figuring out how to re-engage yourself could take any number of different shapes. It could feel like a different emotional color. It could feel like you want to take the first part of it onto Pamina and the second part of it onto Zarastro. It could feel like a color change to you, or you switch from popcorn going off to puppy dogs crawling all over you and you're giggling with excitement. It doesn't matter what it is. But for me as an actor, the only way I don't go to, oh my God, what's going on vocally, or oh my God, there's more coloratura headed ahead of me, is if I keep myself in my images, okay? So also commit. You looked at the camera about 18 times during that. Don't do it. Don't worry about, I know you want to know like if Jennifer and I are making like faces or if we're like encouraging you.
I'm always making faces. I'm always like, ah.
Yeah, Madeline, like, let's get through this coloratura, and I only want you thinking about you as the Queen of the Night, Pamina or Zarastro.
That's right. Just keep your eyes up above that computer. You don't gotta check us. We're just like, we're on your team. We're cheering for you over here. That's it. That's all we're doing.
Team Madeline, because you got it, girl.
Absolutely.
You think you can get through it once more? I know that's like treacherous territory.
I will give it my best.
Stop it.
Oh, that was mean.
Not only is it
such a stanky face. I love it.
Not only was it mean, but you were like, yeah, I just earned that breath.
Yeah,
I just figured out how to use that interlude. Yeah, I now know what my B section is going to be about. And it's because you were committed and you were connected to your breath and you're just just ride the train that you're on. Ride it. Don't ask questions about it. Don't judge it. Don't look for approval or opinion from the outside. Like, keep yourself in that moment. Does that make sense? Yes. Then you earn it, Madeline. Then you earn it. Jennifer, how much time do I have left?
1 minute.
Okay. Can we do, I don't want you to sing the end of the coloratura, but can we just get into that transition? Because now I want to see if you can do it and do that transition without having sung that material. And then I want to see how it propels you into the next section.
Okay, so this is where we just were, or going?
Literally the transition, just where I just cut you off.
Okay.
Get your shoulders down, put that breath into your body. There you go. Yep. Good. Yeah, Madeline, when you are most successful, you're not worrying about the instrument and you're not worrying about us. You're connecting to your text and you're connecting to your character. Mm-hmm. And the second you stop doing that, your shoulders creep up and your hands creep up. So I'm going to challenge you. You've got the keys. You just made it through the whole front half of the aria and you didn't need that. So now I'm going to make a challenge to you, which is when we hit this section, how can you go back as an actor and analyze your text and analyze whatever emotion or color or image you want to stay on, so that when you get into the new material, you can stay as committed and long. And she's like a razor blade. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't need a lot. Her text and her specificity are going to cut, cut, cut. So, and what's interesting is there's a big difference between like, I'm going to feel mean and like, I'm going to live in mean. Do you know what I mean? And what you found in the front half of the aria was how to live in it. And now we'll explore that in the back half. Yeah. That's extraordinary, Madeline. Really.
Brava, yes. Really fantastic, Madeline. Awesome.
Yeah.
Bravo, bravissima.
Yay.
Thank you, honey. Thank you for singing that for us. Woo! Who doesn't love a little Queen of the Night? I love some Queen of the Night. Yes.
Amazing.
All right. Our tenor for today, Moises, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Wonderful. Introduce yourself and your piece, and we will get started with you.
All right. I am Moises Salazar, and today I will be singing Klein Zack from the Tales of Hoffmann. Just make sure my track is good to go here. Is that volume okay? Just want to make sure. Okay. Awesome. Something happened. Sorry, I'm so sorry. This thing's... Okay, here we go. Ah, poor Klein Zack. Il était une fois à la cour d'Eisenach. Au petit averton qui se nommait Klein Zack. Il était coiffé d'un colbac et ses jambes fait clic-clac, clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà Klein Zack. Clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà, Klein Zack. Il avait une bosse d'anguille d'estomac. Ce bière mi-fille semblait sorti d'un sac. Son aise était noire de tabac et sa tête faisait cric-crac, cric-crac, cric-crac. Voilà, voilà Klein Zack. Cric-crac, cric-crac. Voilà, voilà Klein Zack. Au trait de sa figure, quand au trait de sa figure, à sa figure était charmante, je la vois, elle comme le jour où courant au présent je quittais comme un fou la maison paternelle et m'enfuis à travers les ballons et les bras. Ses cheveux en torseau des arbres. S'ils sont collés les cagelots et les chaux des arbres, ses yeux enveloppés d'azur promenaient autour d'elle un regard frais et pur, et comme un autre char apporte son secours, nos cœurs et nos amours, sa voix vibrante douce. Aux cieux qu'il écoutait, jetait ses chants vainqueurs, aux cieux
qui l'écoutait jette ce chant vainqueur dans l'éternel écho. Résonne dans mon cœur. Klein Sack, je parle de la... Non, personne, rien. À mon esprit se trouble, rien. Et Klein Sack vaut mieux, tout difforme-t-il est. Quand tu l'avais trop bu de genièvre de lac, il fallait voir flotter les dépôts de son frac. Comme des herbes dans son lac, et le monstre faisait flic-flac, flic-flac, flic-flac. Voilà, voilà, Klein Sack. Flic-flac, flic-flac. Voilà, voilà, Klein Sack.
Woo! Bravo! Fantastic! I love that. What a great presentation and so many colors and amazing voices. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Loren, over to you, honey.
Yeah, okay. I mean, really fabulous. I have to say, this is an extraordinary aria because I think it shows so many colors in terms of characterization and also voice. And, you know, it's phenomenal because of that. And you clearly have done a lot of work on it. So I'm curious, Moises, what's your history with the piece?
So I was recommended this piece by Jen, actually, like 3 or 4.
By me. Yeah.
Oh, good job, Jen.
Sometimes I'm right about something. I'm just saying.
To be honest, I'm willing to find a French piece that I loved. You know, we've talked a lot about this summer about singing music that you love, and there was a lot of great, beautiful French music that I was struggling to really fall in love with. I mean, the poetry was great, the literature was great, but when I started looking at Klein Sack, I just loved the different sides of Hoffman. And just how it's really, to a certain extent, 2 arias in one, because you have the storytelling part, which is Klein Sack, and then you have his, oh my God, that's right, the beautiful figure, and then he goes on to think about, I like to think in this case, he's picturing Stella, right? And he's singing about her and just how he left everything for her and everything. And then once you watch the rest of the opera, you realize that he talks about 3 different loves, so maybe depending on how you want to perceive it, it could be attributed to each one of those loves. And so I have been studying it probably for about 3 years, maybe two or 3 years now.
Great. Okay, so there's a whole separate segment to be done on the interpretation of the loves of Hoffman, and whether that's one woman or different facets of one woman, and all of the above can be right. But I think what we'll want to get into with you, Moises, is what the right answer is for you today. And then that can morph over time. But before we get there, I think you're totally right. There's, multi sides of himself that he's showing. So who's the Hoffman that we meet at the beginning of the aria? Like, give us a sense of, if you can, his age, where he is, and who's around him when the aria starts.
So the age in particular, I want to say he's probably around 25, 26. Just for me in particular, just because based on the rest of the show, he does a lot of impulsive things that I'm like, somebody in their 30s wouldn't do this, or maybe we would, but there's impulsiveness in his character, depending on how far back you want to go. So realistically, probably like 25 right now. And I want to think that he's somehow a prodigy, right? Because he's a poet and he's also a musician and a composer. So he's way ahead of his time, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, this guy's so fun. So he's He's accomplished with his literature works, I want to say, and then he's just at this point just loves to drink and have fun. So that's
okay. Great. Okay, so I'm going to say, you know, I very specifically asked you for an age, but I also want everybody on this call to challenge me on that. I want you to know the answer if your composer and librettist have given it to you somewhere in the piece, right? Like they talk about or they say your character is a certain age. You always need to know what that is. But age means something very different in every time period that we live in and in everybody's life experience, right? So 25 could mean to me something very different than 25 means to you, Moises, or to Ryan at 25. So I want to abandon ship on the number, but I want to hang on to what you said in some of the other that give us like context clues on who he is. So I love that you're talking about him being in a bar around friends, because I think there's a certain nude energy that comes with that. And I love that you're talking about him being really acclaimed or really established in terms of his art and sort of, I mean, I think he does sort of like trip into Geniusville in a lot of his poetry and what runs him. So I wonder, is there something, Moises, is there like a character from a movie or a scene from a movie where you can think about like one character who was at the center of like a fun bar conversation or a fun, it could be like any sort of drinking scene ever that resonates with you as an actor?
That's a great question because I'm trying to think now what.
Okay, so like I only have terrible references and you can say they don't work for you at all. Like I'm thinking, are you Professor, because I just watched the whole Marvel series. So I'm like, is he Professor X, like hanging out with the X-Men before he lost all his hair and he's like having a good time flirting with women in the bar because his superpower can tell the color of their eyes. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Does that work for you?
That does work. I was also Tony Stark works too.
Okay, I was also gonna say that. I'm like, could he be Iron Man? Okay, my point is there's a specific mentality that comes with an energy type that the crowd around says, tell us a story. And where that person is like, yeah, I'm baller enough to take that on and here's a really fun one. Okay, so who's in the room with you, Moises? Where are you?
So in the story or in this other
oh, in the other, who cares about the story? Let's talk about where you are.
Yeah, let's say it's
where's Iron Man right now?
He's probably in his place just having a party and
clearly
wearing his Iron Man suit because or else he wouldn't be there with that.
Okay, love it. Okay, who's with you?
It's anybody who's anybody is there.
Okay, so I want you to pick how many Avengers are there? So you're Iron Man. Where's Captain America right now?
He's
point.
there.
Point. Where's Captain America? Yes, okay. Where's Loki?
Loki, he's way over there.
Okay, where's the Incredible Hulk?
The Hulk. I would say he's
just pick a direction. Where's the Hulk?
Back there.
Okay, you gotta put some more people in front of you, but we'll get to that in a second. Where's Black Widow?
He's up here.
Okay, so who did I miss? Where's the guy with one arm? The Winter Soldier, where's he?
He's right here on the corner.
Okay, great. So I want you, the reason I'm asking and why this game is fun is because I think you know the Marvel characters well enough that you've got specific people that you're now thinking of, right? So if we were doing this in the context of Hoffman, you'd probably be on stage in a bar with a lot of choristers whose names you don't know surrounding you. And we'd be looking generically at those choristers, right? So what I want you to do, Moises, is you get to be Iron Man in the center.
Okay.
Who do you want to, where do you want to look first? When this intro starts, and you, like my guess is the intro, we're scanning the crowd, and then you want to sing to someone really specifically with your first line of text. Where do you be looking, left or right?
I'll be looking right. For this
okay, so look right for me right now. Aha, okay. If that's the Incredible Hulk, he's only like 2 inches tall. So when we're acting, whether it's on camera or whether it's in real life, I want you to at least put whoever you're looking at eye level with you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so I'm just making this up. It's not what you said, but let's pretend Incredible Hulk's there. Okay. Now, if Captain America is on your left-hand side, look to me on your right to the Incredible Hulk where you're starting. Okay, now just turn your head to Captain America. Yeah. Okay, look back at the Incredible Hulk. Smile at the Incredible Hulk. Yeah. Now quickly and sharply turn and look at Captain America. Yeah, okay. That is the kind of specificity that the aria needs. You were doing everything right in terms of like, I'm gonna imbue this with like a bro-y bar feel, but the gestures and the looks are unspecific. Okay. You're gonna level up this aria when you have specificity. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. We're not even gonna let you sing your first note. Okay. I want you to just listen to the intro. Can you just play that intro for me? And then we're gonna stop it before, and then you can stop it when you would have started to sing, okay? Okay. That's it, right? Okay, what is happening? What do you hear in the music?
It's the, they're like, okay, let's hear Kleinzak. So I'm like, all right, Kleinzak. Wait, how does that go again? How does that go again? And it's the gears in the head turning, how to make it exciting for everybody. And it's like, oh, they want me to entertain. So okay, I'll do that.
Okay, so what if what if only the Incredible Hulk's in the room with you? And just before the music starts, he says, "Sing us Kleinzak!" And then you're going to use the intro for all the other Marvel characters to gather around you.
Okay.
So I want you to start on the Incredible Hulk. I then want you to see the Black Widow and Captain America and the Winter Soldier come in, and I want you to land on your right-hand image in order to sing.
Okay.
And I want you to smile. And I want you to be like, what's up, Loki? What's up, Captain America? What's up? Don't really point like I just did. But I want you to see them all coming in before you start to sing. And then because they've gathered, because you've got the attention of everyone, that's what propels you into your first line. Right. Okay, here we go. Intro and singing.
All right. Just the Vapur Kleinzak part 2.
You got to do the whole intro.
Okay, cool.
You got to earn opening your voce.
Kleinzak.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Hey, guys, what's up? Okay, good. Do you feel the difference, Moises?
I do.
I want you to breathe in. You have to breathe however you have to breathe to sing. I'm not asking you to take a different kind of breath than what you need for vocal support, but I'm asking you to energize it differently. I want you to breathe in the excitement of starting to tell the story, and I want you to get longer and taller and more confident. Can you do it one more time?
Yeah, sure.
And so it doesn't come across with a vague breath that goes into a vague gesture, but there's it's specific breath in, and I'm going to tell you this story that goes with it.
Okay. All right.
Kleinzak.
There's Iron Man. There's Captain America. There's the Hulk. What's up, Winter Soldier?
Il était une fois à la cour d'Eisenach.
Look at someone else.
Au petit Avertoc qui se nommait Kleinzak.
Look at someone else.
Il était coiffé d'un colbac et ses jambes faisaient clic-clac.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm buying it. Now, what's dangerous about what I've asked you to do is look at a bunch of different people, and that's because in real life they'd all be reacting to you, right? And repeating your text back against you. I want you to acknowledge the different characters in the room that you're talking to, but I don't want it to come with ambiguous wiggle.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I want you to stay grounded, because he like owns it.
Okay.
And you can gesture and you can look, but there's suaveness in going, hey, Incredible Hulk. Oh yeah, I hear you, Captain America. Oh really, Black Widow? He can stay in one spot without having to move to make it look like you're talking to lots of people.
Okay, gotcha.
One more time. Then I'm gonna jump you fast forward in your aria because I want to get into the other guy.
Okay. Sorry, I'm like dealing with two.
No, you're fine.
Kleinzak.
Yeah. Good.
Il fois à la cour d'Eisenach.
Good.
Mon petit averton qui se nomme Kleinsack. Il est coiffé d'un colbac et ses jambes faisaient clic-clac, clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà Kleinsack. Clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà Kleinsack.
Okay, good. So now we've got you grounded, but I don't want grounding to mean that you can't live in your body. This is like the opposite of everything we just talked about in Queen of the Night. So Queen of the Night, I'm trying to get longer and like zingier. With you, I want you, because he is probably drinking, because he is in a bar, you know, I want you to feel like you're empowered to use your gestures when you need them. So if he wants to go click-clack, click-clack, and then talk about Kleinsack and it gets bigger, that's totally fine. But what I don't want is no gesture, and I don't want like ambiguous gesture. Part of what makes someone like this captivate a crowd is that he's able to reel them in very specifically with attention. Do it one more time and go for broke on it. So you're staying grounded, but you're really energized and engaging people. And then we'll go to the B section.
Okay. Moises, just to sort of add a second, Loren just wants you to be super specific so that there's not this kind of like, who am I looking at feeling, that it's really like, the guy is there, we can play, the guy is there, and we can play. Yeah, buddy, you know this Kleinsack story, yeah. She's got that you're really specific on who you're looking at, who you're gesturing to, rather than kind of a wash, which happens all the time in auditions. You know, we're there and we have to kind of sing to the middle of the room, but it does make it so much more interesting, and your voice focuses really well too. If you've got a guy, you know this guy, yeah, we can talk about this guy, and then there's another guy, yeah. So just make those things very specific with less wash, basically. Yeah, does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Kleinsack.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
Il était une fois à la cour d'Eisenach.
Yes.
Il averton qui se nomme Kleinsack.
Yes.
Il était coiffé d'un colbac et ses jambes faisaient clic-clac, clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà Kleinsack. Clic-clac, clic-clac. Voilà, voilà Kleinsack.
Yeah, okay.
Amazing.
Yeah. Do you feel the difference?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer Rowley, for helping interpret what I was saying.
Oh, no problem. I've been there.
Thing, Moises, is that he holds that last Kleinsack, is so dominant. It's so confident that your physicality needs to match that. So rather, Moises, than the gesture getting stuck here, I want you to like own it and have intensity in it. Can you just show me what that looks like in your body?
Sure. Like that.
Yeah, okay, so, right, if we were auditioning on camera, you'd figure out how to back your camera up so I don't lose your hands. Arms or hands. Yeah. But you should feel gifted to be that big in this aria. Okay. That specific and that big. Just sing it without the track for me. Do the last two Kleinzacks.
Voilà, Kleinsack.
Okay, and how can you change your physicality from the voila, and then what does it become on Kleinsack? Because it's a different tonal color in there. So your body wants to change.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try something. Let's see.
Oh, try it. I'm excited.
Voila, voila, Klein.
Okay. Yeah, okay. It is something like that. What that means is maybe we don't need to go under the jacket, but what you just found is you want to be expanded on the voila and you want to get more intimate and secretive on the Kleinsack. And that's the impulse that's worth holding on to. Okay, so let's pretend, Moises, that you figured out that kind of specificity, because the whole front half of the aria wants that, right? Like Jennifer's talking about. Can you then get us into sa figura, where it changes and he starts to look at the, do you know where in the track you are to get into that section?
Yeah. Sorry, got a really loud door there.
It's totally okay.
Okay, there we go. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, okay, great. Hold it right there for me for a second, Moises, before you start.
Yeah.
So once you've built the front half, if he's this specific, confident Iron Man guy, what happens when Iron Man loses that and starts talking about the woman who he loves? This is not only a big vocal change, but it's a big physical change too. So what I'm looking for is how, you know, he goes essentially from being the showman to exposing his soul. And we see the poet and we see the lover and we see the man as opposed to the show. Yeah, so I'm looking for how your physicality is gonna change when you start to envision her. All right, let's just give it a whirl and see where you are with it again.
De sa figure. Quanto trait de sa figure.
Yeah, huh? Okay, good. Can you do it one more time, Moises? Because I know we haven't figured out exactly how to get you into this, but can you be sharp, like even if it's just a point, like, I'm gonna talk about this woman on the first line, and then he repeats the text, and midway through figura, he goes, dreamy, dream, dream. So I want to see your physicality do something that's still that showman, that's super specific, and then it's like, it just melts. Yeah?
Yeah.
Quanto trait de sa figure.
Good. Next person.
Quanto trait de sa figure.
And where does it go?
Sa figura che charmante. Je les vois, elle comme le jour, au courant après cela, j'ai quitté comme un fou la maison paternelle et m'enfuis à travers les vallons et les bois. Ses cheveux en torseau des arbres, sur son col l'élégance et les chants des ombres, ses yeux enveloppés d'azur, promenaient autour de leur regard frais et pur, et comme notre char emporte son secours, donc nos amours, sa voix vibrante douce.
Okay, good. Hold it right there. And then I want to pick up, if you could just back that track up just a little bit. Do you feel the difference, Moises?
Yes, I do.
From who he is at the beginning of the aria to who he is now?
Yes.
Do you watch recordings of Pavarotti, like any of his stuff on YouTube? You ever? Okay. It's like your Pavarotti's showing in this moment. There's something about the way, like, that character transitions, and there's something about the way Pavarotti performs that people just, their jaws drop and you just get sucked into who they are. That's like him in this moment. He's just envisioning an entirely different place. His heart's opening up differently. The gestures aren't as, you know, tight and specific. It's got love, it's got romance in it, and it's got length and line in it. So I love that. Now, what we've discovered, Moises, is you are awesomely capable of gesturing. Leave that for the Kleinzak. Here, let your heart expose your text, and use your text and use your coloring of her vision. It will feel much more personal. if we're seeing how you're breathing in her vision and not showing us how that makes you feel. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so can you, about to just propel it, if we can pick up right where that track left off, you can expose your soul from there.
Okay.
Because you know, that's easy to do as an actor.
Super easy.
Super easy, Moises. Good, breathe her image in. There you are. Breathe her in.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Moises.
That's super strong with us. Bravo, bravo.
Yes, Moises.
I'm so sorry that we have to stop there, but we have to get to our next singer. I'm so sorry, but Moises, it's really so stunning. And that change, you can feel confident that you don't have to add anything. You don't have to feel like, oh, I have to do something more, because the voice is so beautiful. And when you connect into that internal space, and as Loren was coaching you to breathing her in, you don't have to do anything else but sing and live it and feel it, because we get the goosebumps. And when we get the goosebumps on the other side of the table, that's when we say we need to have him in our cast. Yep. Yes. And then what's so wonderful is to be open and to be so solid in your vocal technique that you can take direction like that. So really, bravissimo, Moises, really.
Moises,
fantastic work. Fantastic work. Okay, let's move on to Brenna. Brenna, are you there? Brenna!
I'm unmuted now, yay!
All right, honey, thank you. Introduce yourself and your piece and we will get going.
All right, well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Brenna Marquis, and I'm gonna sing Violetta's A Forse Lui and Sempre Libera.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Oh my God, I feel like we should have paid to watch that right now.
Okay, what if Shanley just said the dress, the grace and poise, the body of that boy? Yeah, you're getting a lot of good woohoos, Brenna, which is great.
Oh my God. Amazing. Amazing, 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 amazing.
Brenna, slug that water while we talk.
Go, Loren, go. Just go.
Okay, so this aria is epic. It's epic, epic, epic. And there are so many different sections of it that could get unpacked in so many different ways that, I mean, this is one that if we were coaching it like for realsies, I would need like 3 hours to unpack it with you. We don't have 3 hours. So I'm going to look at complimenting you on something and then figuring out how to take that compliment and drive it into the back half of the aria. So one of the things that is super duper difficult, Brenna, is how to activate interludes, particularly when you don't have a scene partner and you're doing it in a really awkward audition context with just a piano behind you and nothing else. Now, what helped you is you picked a track where you've got Alfredo singing with you. So you had a voice and something to react to. It would be another challenge if that wasn't there altogether. But I want to compliment you because you were reacting and you were listening to that interlude, and it was the most personal and clear choices that you made as an actress throughout the piece. So I want to take that then when you listen to the interlude and you go back on voice and you go back into figuring out what her physicality is, how to explode from there. So I don't know if you can get us, Brenna, into the section after Alfredo sings his Amor. It's going into your Folia, Folia, yeah?
Let me see.
Yeah, stop it there. Yeah, great. Okay. So before we go forward, who is this amazing woman?
Oh my gosh. So I went off the deep end with Marie Duplessis, Alpha Scene, like, oh my God, this woman. Okay, so.
That's how I feel about her too.
It reminds me of her story, and her state of mind reminds me of, in Greek mythology, there's that pirate who's doomed to eternal life on the sea. I'm forgetting his name right now, but his whole thing, Poseidon curses him. He's no longer allowed on land. For 300 years, he's roaming the sea, and he can break this curse if he finds true love. And the whole way he finds true love is loving others rather than receiving love. And I feel like Marie Duplessis, her life sucked. Like, everything about her life was just one blow after the next after the next. So Violetta, based off of that person, I feel like she doesn't know how to receive love and reciprocate. She thinks that she's not deserving of that real, true love.
Why?
Because she, honestly, she doesn't have, she's just never had it before. I feel like a big part of why she doesn't deserve love is because she's been abused and raped and poor and orphaned and hungry for days, and I think that she's just convinced that life is what she makes of it, not necessarily that it comes to her.
Okay, so I want to I think there's power. I think she's the kind of person that finds power in overcoming difficult circumstances. And yes, I would agree with you. She's had a lot of curveballs thrown at her in her life. Let's also, is she super duper healthy or like not?
No, and at this point, I mean, she knows that she's sick.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Brenna. And it's important because it says where she is on her arc as a character. In other words, Violetta, who's hosting a party when she's feeling top-notch and effervescent, is different than a woman who's reached a point where she's starting to crumble.
Yeah.
And that she feels physical impact, and that she then expresses relief or release, and in different ways than she would if she wasn't healthy. But also, when an opportunity does come her way, like true love, she's gonna react to it or dismiss it differently because she's like going downhill. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to look at, you hear him, that's where we started. You hear him, and it was very clear how you absorbed what came across to me was feeling like you were absorbing the fact that you were hearing that man and hearing his sense of love, and that there was a very genuine impact on how his voice made you feel. Mm-hmm. What's her next text? She does say, "Oh, amor," you know, in the middle of him singing. But she cuts him off. And what does she cut him off with saying?
Folly.
Okay, you need more of that. What you just did, your body wasn't doing that when you were singing. Your body was in like, oh God, this aria is 18 minutes long, and here comes the most treacherous section. Okay? And what I love about how you're even laughing right now, Brenna, is I think she would do that. You know, there's so many colors to her. She can be effervescent one moment. She can be ball buster the next. She can blow something off and laugh at it in the next moment. Mm-hmm. And part of that's because she's been drinking, and part of that's because she's an awesome courtesan, and part of that's because she's impacted by love. So be brave enough to go there. Okay. What happens if she sees love coming her way, and she hears it and it scares her, and she's afraid of it, and she's going to brush it off, and she's going to be fabulous? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And how do you make choices? You say folie not once, not twice, but 3 times. And the coloratura is propelled and is different in each one of those. So there's like a huge arc just between those 3 statements, even though you're saying the same thing.
Right.
Maybe back your track up just a little bit. Maybe listen to everything he has to say, and let's see where that propels you.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question before you do.
Yes.
Does your dress let your arms go all the way up?
Not really.
Aha! You gotta pick a different dress.
But it's so pretty.
It's so pretty. Brenna, check plus for dress choice.
Like, so pretty.
It's not going to let you activate the way you want to activate. It's going to get you stuck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to feel like I'm at my ring dance my sophomore year when I was like, crap, why do I have this tight dress on? I can't even do you know what I mean? I love the dress. I'm not saying I don't love the dress. Be very careful. Let's not worry about the dress for the moment unless you're worried you're going to rip it. I want you to feel like you can fully engage your body and your gestures. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Brenna. You're totally baller. You can be more baller.
Okay.
Okay. Because what that, okay, somebody wrote in the chat, Erin said her reactions are so genuine, and I 100% agree. You are living and breathing his text, and that's phenomenal. But what does he say? Why is it that she chooses to bust in with folia? What's he saying to you? Croce delizia. What is that?
Delightful cross of love. Like,
yeah, make it personal.
Yeah, like, I mean, and this is something that I never really understood the croce thing.
Well, let's unpack that, shall we?
Yeah, I'd like to. You know, the way that I interpret it is that something so amazing, like being in love, you bare your soul and you are letting yourself basically like be open. You have no shield, and so someone could damn you for life.
Oh, yes. Okay, I love that. Okay, that's super scary.
Yeah, it's super
To
scary.
hear someone talking about how much they love you and the feeling that comes with that is so dangerous.
Yeah.
So you did something where you internalized folia the first time, your second one got big, and then your third went into like singer body.
Yeah.
What happens if, because he's repeating croce, croce delizia, croce delizia, he said that multiple times to you. So Jennifer, are you laughing at my singing?
No, I'm connecting with Ryan because we love you so much and we love Brenna so much. We're having a party right now.
Okay. I was like,
so much love.
Jennifer knows that I sing like everything and super poorly. There's a reason I'm behind the table.
No, I love you. I love you so much. We're just like, there's so much joy right now because this one, I love her so much.
All the feels.
So proud of her and like this.
Good.
She needs you right now, Loren, and I'm just gonna be quiet, but I was just having a love moment. That's all.
Okay, got it. So, if it's late, if she's been partying, if she's a little tipsy, if underneath that is fear for her health and fear of being in love, and you're hearing and you're losing your control when you're hearing that love, then when she decides it's too much, blow it off. So I want that blow off gesture. I want that energy. Folia. There's a reason she's got to get into that cadenza. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? You've got to like get your body charged to get into that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Totally. Like a propeller.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Listen to it. But your body's unspecific. So now you don't need any of the gestures. Now you can do it in folia, fuck, I'm not falling into that trap. You know what I mean? It can just be like, she can just push it all the way off. Do you know what I mean? And I also want you to attack that first, like Jen, unless you think I'm wrong, like vocally, I want you to attack that first folia, particularly the F, more, because I think it has to divorce him out of your life right away. You're waiting until the second one. I need you to activate the first one.
Okay. And just get a little pelvic pulse under, like a little diaphragmatic connection into the pelvic floor for the F, and folia, so that it activates from the deepest core of the body. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so then I'm gonna let you go forward this time, Brenna, because I don't want to over exhaust this folia. But if we do it the right way and you attack it and you propel it, it's gonna send you cruising into the next section. Yeah. And I think she's like, the more nervous she is about something, the more she rejects it and the more confident it comes across. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like she doesn't, I mean, her character throughout all of the different books written about her and, you know, stuff like that, she is pretty sarcastic. So I think, yeah, she probably wouldn't be like afraid.
No, her defense mechanism is to get stronger. It's not to get weaker.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So keep riding the strong train. One more time, we're going forward.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah, you have to listen to him. It's my favorite part. Okay. Even though you're singing glorious, you have to listen to him. Attack it. Good. So the only thing I want you to do, I want you to do everything but not back away from me.
Okay.
And like, would this be way easier if you weren't with a piano, I mean, with a recorded track? Yes, of course. But I feel like her energy, if anything, is coming forward.
Always, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, going, F you, I am baller. Yeah. Then I get the energy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Abso-freaking-lutely, yeah.
How do I get you into that without having you attack the folias again?
I think I can back it up a little bit.
Just mark the folias and then jump in on the Gioia. Attack life. Attack it more. It's her soul. It will break. Yeah. Desperate attack. Brenna, yes. You want to keep chewing on attack life. There is nothing this woman wants more than life. It does not matter if she has been raped. It does not matter if she has money in her pocket or not. It does not matter if she's dying or not. She attacks life.
Yeah.
Yeah? And she's self-sustaining, and that's why somebody else with this thing called love that puts you in a partnership is like super scary. Yeah? Okay, so she attacks and she pushes it away. And if you color different sides of that attack, it will propel you through that whole section. Because I think, though the colors are different, she has to be really caught off guard when he vocalizes again, when he comes back in with that amor. It's got to like, she's going down a track and it has to like blow her away in a new way.
Yeah.
And you're riding that train now. It's phenomenal.
Right. Awesome.
Hang on. Where am I? Can we get into his amore palpito? Yeah, yes. Just where we just were?
Yeah.
Because I think if you hear him and it just makes her go, like forward, more attack. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It makes her, it like energizes her and makes her even stronger somehow.
Yeah.
That girl.
on this side. Oh my God. Brenna. Sarah Taylor, get yourself a cocktail. Yes, girl.
Yeah,
Yes,
Brenna, you know what you also found?
my
It was not only the fierceness, but the laughter that makes sense when she lets go of it and just says F it. Yeah.
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 Amazing.
But it also drives her. I mean, it's so specific, Brenna. So keep that train is phenomenal.
Does everyone, Loren, do you have your gallery open? I just want you to put your gallery open, and can everyone just give like the most massive round of applause to Loren ever? Because I am dying. Like, this was the most amazing way to end. Oh my God. Loren.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everything, Loren. I learned so much, like, and I'm sure that our 5 singers and everyone on the class today learned so much. Singers, oh my God, I'm dying. Everyone did so. I mean, from our 22-year-old Indiana University graduate student to our 30-year-olds who it's amazing, amazing singing from all of you. Thank you for sharing your incredible talents with us today. I am just completely floored and blown away. Loren, thank you. We're so just, I was speechless in San Antonio when I worked with you, and now I'm just like, I have to go in the pool with a glass of wine and like,
that's where I'm headed.
Like, I have to really think about everything that just happened. It's really, it's just amazing. Thank you.
Listen, you all are phenomenal. All of the singers that got to work with today, I mean, you level unlocked on everything. So,
yes.
You know, I know it's like 15 to 20 minutes that we work together, but just take those nuggets and run with it. You know, just run. You got it.
Yes, absolutely. Guys, everyone on the class today, thank you for joining us again. We are so appreciative of all of you. If you are as inspired as I am right now to give a couple of bucks to these great companies, we would really appreciate it. Ryan's going to put the Fort Worth link up there. I know San Antonio Opera also would love if you donated, and we, you know, the 2 companies together, I know that we're going to have a great future together, and I really hope to see Fort Worth and San Antonio Opera co-productions in the future, because I think that the personalities and the way the 2 companies work, I for one know that I love working for both of you, and I really think that in the future it could be like an incredible marriage of the 2 companies. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for anything you can give. We have been so happy to give you all this content for this summer. I mean, really, like, it's the highlight of our week every week. So thank you guys so much. And I can't with Brenna right now, so I'm gonna just like I can't. So I'm gonna just go back to Ryan so that I don't like.
No, I'm totally like inarticulate party of one right now. like Loren, like amazing, totally my favorite masterclass out of all of them, and they've been really, really, really great. But you are like a force.
You are awesome.
Wow.
I'm glad I held up the standard.
You blew the roof off, honey. You leveled up, as you said. You leveled it up.
Oh, God. Thank you for being here with us. Jennifer, I love you so much.
I love you too, honeys. I love you. Yes.
Bravi tutti.
Guys. Bravi tutti.
Shanley, Madeline, Moises, and Brenna. Oh, my God.
I can't.
What like superstars in the making.
Superstars. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us. If you've been here along the way, I thank you for sticking with us and coming back every single week. We love having you here. We seriously, we're really, really grateful that you took the time out of your weekend and your nights to just spend time with us. Really.
Yes.
And have an awesome weekend.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Get a glass of wine and like unpack all of that, because I know I'm going to.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, Loren. Bye, everybody.